Hi guys, this is a quick video on how to do quick paint jobs on the Rampage tiles. First of all, when they print out, they come out like that, and there's sometimes a little bit of material from the printer that's on the bottom of the tile or the wall. The first thing you need to do is you need to just get this infill out from in here. And you can see that these built-in supports just come out by pulling them out like this, and you can dig them out like that, and that gets rid of those supports. The supports are necessary on the 3D printer obviously to allow these things to print with these overhangs. Now if you print with a brim, sometimes you get a very fine lip across the edges here, so you just want to kind of just get the lip, get rid of that lip so it's nice and flat, and that way when these things are stuck onto the floor sections, they stick nice and tight and square. They don't kind of lean in like that, and that's only because you need to get rid of this lip. Okay, so next thing you need to do is you need to just put some primer on the tile. This incidentally is the Secret Wall tile, which comes in two parts like this, and then clicks together, and it just prints out like that. I've already cleaned that one out. So when you're making a dungeon wall or a stone wall, first thing you need to do is decide on what three colours you want to use. Now you can use more than three colours, but three colours is a good start. You want a dark, a medium and a light. And this process is basically a process of dry brushing these different layers onto the stones in varying degrees to give a kind of a texture. Now depending on these colours you pick depends on the type of stone look that you get. This is going to look more of a dark sandy colour, whereas you could go for a blue, grey, a grey, and a blue, and then a white, and you'd have like a dark stone texture. Or you could go for a very black and then white highlights and have an Aberdeen stone. So it's up to you what kind of textures you want. Now I just use normal matte or satin household paints. These are test pots, and if you buy some, 3 big test pots, that's going to pretty much last you forever. And you're going to have a consistency throughout all of your dungeon tiles that you do. So the first thing is to do the base coat. So the base coat, actually that's that one. This is the base coat here. So the idea is you dry brush this. Now you can use a thing called a speed brush, or you could use a normal brush, and I'll show you both. Speed brush is, for this type of thing, is really good, and I'll show you why. But you can use a normal brush. So speed brush, I'm just going to take it and then I'm going to dry it off, so there's not much paint on there. So you really want to dry that kind of away. And the first coat, the darkest coat, you make quite intense. Now you can see that with this sponge brush, I'm not getting any paint in the gap, so that's staying black. And already you can see the basic colour, so that starts to show up. And all you're basically leaving with the first coat is the blacks, the gaps. If I did it with did the same thing with this thing, then I'll be doing it with the standard brush, do the same. But you can see it's a little bit slower, and it's easier to get them in the gaps. You just have to be a bit more careful. So because we print hundreds of these things, we do this, and that gives you a basic coating. Now when you're doing the tiles, obviously you're printing them in batches, so you might be printing 10 at once or 20, depending on how big your print bed is, and then you print out a few batches of those, and then you might be printing doing 20 or 30 of these at once. So that's your base coat. And then we're going to do the other coats. So the next coat you're doing not quite so, like I don't even really bother washing the brush out because it kind of blends together a bit. I'll just dry this off. And then this one you go a little bit less. So you still want to see some of that other brick come through. And then you're getting two colours showing through. And then let's get the thing as much paint out of there as I can. And then I'm going to pop on a final light one. Just dry brush that out. You don't want too much paint on it. And then this one you're just going to touch over. And just smudge it with your hands if you kind of blob it anywhere. When you first put it on, it kind of might look a bit weird, but once it dries, it looks great. And there's lots of painting tutorials online about how to paint stone, much better than this. This is kind of like for those who just started and you've printed out 50 dungeon tiles and you've got a game coming up and you just want to make them all kind of look fairly good.